Greg Leonard. I work for Positive East and I work in our peer support department. So before that, I worked in human trafficking, and then before that, I used to teach children with behavioural problems. And then before that, I was a teacher in Wormwood Scrubs prison for 7 years. I'm here today to talk to you a bit about my role is. So if any of you got any questions, it's going to be very informal. So I want you to go away with a firm understanding of what peer support is and the valuable work that Positive East do, supporting people that are living with HIV. So just to start off with, then I'm going to talk about peer support and what that is. So the definition of peer support is the help and support that people with lived experiences of an illness or mental condition are able to give to one another. So basically, it's just people that have experienced adversity in life and turning those experiences around into a positive and helping people who are experiencing the same sort of levels of anxiety or distress about what experiences they're going through. So peer support is predominantly it's a volunteer-led service. We have 3 workers full-time. Antonio Giacalone is my line manager, and he manages the department and works on shaping how the service looks to meet the needs of our SUs. And there's Resti Malemwa, and Resti looks after the African clients, and I tend to work with mainly LGBT clients, but of course our roles are occasionally interchangeable. So most of the work that we provide is emotional support, and there's some degree of advocacy, particularly for clients who've got language or literacy issues. My peer support is mainly about being a source of strength. So I've been at Positive East for nearly 3 years now, and we're expanding our peer support department to meet the needs of our clients. So we've got around about 30 active mentors at the minute, and well over half of those are in service, which is quite high. Usually volunteers need to be HIV positive, but apart from that, that's the only criteria that we're looking for. They meet with their clients 1 hour a week usually, and we train our mentors, so we know at grassroots level what the needs of our service users are. So aside from meeting clients once a week, we also get together every 6 weeks to take part in what we call a reflective practice. This is so we can share good working practice and hear about each other's lives, our own issues, and of course, the issues of our clients. So peer support really is intended to have a therapeutic effect. It's not therapy, but it tends to have a therapeutic effect on our clients and also on our volunteers as well. Peer support often attracts people who at one point in their life needed help. And when you've needed help, a lot of people have a compulsion to help back. So we've got a lot of beautiful, kind-hearted people that are working in our program. So when HIV first came around, there were like buddy programs and support for people really to help them work through their stages of grief to reach an acceptance of their imminent death. So denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and if you're into it, it's acceptance. So people that were dying were helping others who were also dying. So it's about getting your lives in order before you died. Of course, HIV is a sexually transmitted disease, and a lot of issues around sexuality. I think as a society, we don't deal with sexuality well. In general, there's a stigma attached to sex and into gay sex in particular. So admitting that you had HIV admitted that you liked sex, and that's often very difficult for people to come to terms with, especially in the climate of the 80s, which was rife with homophobia at the time. So without treatment, life expectancy for HIV is between 8 and 10 years. Peer mentoring has changed a lot as treatments began to develop. Treatments arrived in 1996, which meant that HIV was no longer a death sentence, but having HIV meant a life of secrecy and isolation. When I came to Positive East, I was a little bit curious about what the work would involve, because treatments are so effective now. If you're on treatments, there's U equals U, which U undetectable equals untransmittable. which is scientific proof that you can't pass the virus on no matter how many people you have sex with. But when I worked at Positive East, I discovered this whole invisible army of veterans who've survived the onslaught of HIV in the 80s, and without the support of Positive East and other agencies and seminars and talks just like this today, these people will just get left behind and live their lives in complete isolation and enjoying significant mental health problems. So we're working with these people, saying, come with us, stay with us, and we're working through the progress in HIV as treatments change. So I'll already cover that bit, just bear with me. So people who have HIV, we talk about life expectancy, and the prognosis is generally very good, but for many people that got the virus early, they have still endure long-term comorbidities. So neuropathy, which is like pain and numbness in the body, cardiovascular disease, organ failure, liver, kidneys, cancer, type 2 diabetes, osteoporosis, and loads of physical issues, and also mental health issues. People with HIV are more prone to, particularly in old age, to dementia, which is only coming to light now as these people are moving into the sort of final trimester of their lives. Depression, alcoholism, and substance abuse, all these issues are much more prevalent in the HIV community. So who needs peer support then? So a lot of people from hostile cultures they have sort of unusual attitudes to sex, and in particularly LGBT people. People that have a lot of promiscuity, it's often a manifestation of low self-esteem and risk-taking and recklessness. And quite often people that get HIV have pre-existing psychological issues, quite often due to homophobia that we all experienced as kids. Often they end up in damaging, toxic, violent relationships, and then they need support before and of course during their relationship. During COVID, we're seeing a rise of victims of sexual assault, people that were assaulted during chemsex, which chemsex is when people get high on different drugs, usually methadone, crystal meth and GHB, but other things like ketamine and cocaine are also classed as chemsex. And a lot of our trans clients are experiencing higher degrees of hate crimes, more than they would do normally, which was already quite high. And of course, a lot of just gay guys that are in domestic violence situations. It's still a very big taboo subject, male domestic violence. So these clients are often quite difficult to reach, as are some people with very strong religious beliefs. So Positive East works very hard at reaching out to clients from all different walks of life. And our peer support team reflects the diversity of that. So we have lots of people from religious backgrounds, ethnic backgrounds, LGBT, trans, all different types. And we're always looking for volunteers. So if you're positive and you want to join us, please get in touch. So how does peer support work pre and post COVID? For HIV, myself included, and many others, with the advent of HIV was a very terrifying experience. And many of us are still reeling from the advent of HIV, and now we've got another virus coming along that we need to worry about. There are certain differences. For example, with HIV, without treatment, you almost would certainly eventually become ill and probably die. So the morbidity rate of COVID is less, but I'm sure there are lots of older gay guys. Well, I know there are older gay guys who have HIV who are old, and they do fit into category 1. And for them, just opening the front door is a really terrifying experience. So peer support is particularly useful at reaching out to people who are experiencing extreme isolation. So at the moment, all our services are delivered digitally online. We carry out routine welfare checks to our most vulnerable clients. And we promote all the services that are available free of charge to all our clients through rigorous online social media mail shots. Similar to this event, we've been planning a year ahead already. We've got Stride workshops, which is a series of workshops to help people stay mentally and physically healthy and fit, and provide up-to-date and accurate information on databases and treatments about COVID from some of the country's foremost clinicians and experts in their field. We also do sort of fun stuff to encourage a sense of well-being and inclusion amongst our issues. We've had drag bingo, we've had creative writing, we had Sean Delentian coming to talk about homophobia in schools. So we're really trying to work hard to keep a very diverse and vibrant programme to help people cope with the demands of COVID. So what does the future look like then? At first, our peer mentors were quite reluctant to work online because they felt that as it was such an intimate service that it needed to be carried out face-to-face to get the maximum amount of communication taking place. But since then, we've adapted well to working online. So at the minute, all our services are delivered digitally. And so bear with me. So all our services are delivered digitally, and for the future, I think we'll be looking at, I don't think we're going to go back to the way that it was before. I think that digital services will always be a part of life moving forwards. So as far as the future goes, and Positive Easter and our services, everything's really in its place to ensure that we're supporting many of our clients that need it and delivering some really fantastic first-class services. So I think that's about it, really. I just want to talk about any of you, if you're working in a role, so I'm assuming that a lot of you guys are connected with the Met. If you want to know about LG for Service, anyone who's HIV can access the service. And we provide loads of practical and emotional support. So people that are experiencing difficulties with benefits, or they're getting their PIP, personal independence payment stopped. If you've got any issues and you're HIV positive, get in touch, because I'm sure we'll definitely be able to help you.